Welcome to Get Your Yes On. I'm RevD, Reverend Deborah Johnson. Today we're talking about saying yes to being present. You know, there's a part of me that kind of thinks it's ironic that we even have to have discussions about quote unquote being present. From a physical standpoint, that's the only thing that we can ever be. We only live in the present. We physically can't live in the future. We physically can't live in the past. However, our minds and our emotions can be just about anywhere. Why is it important that we be present? When we're not, we miss everything that's going on and that's happening all around us. I find increasingly our attention is split. Even something like driving. We can be in the car, we're listening to music, you could be talking on the phone, looking at a GPS system, maybe even snacking on something or drinking. And we pride ourselves so much these days on this increasing ability that we have to quote unquote multitask. Almost like there's an award for how many different things we can actually be doing at the same time. We might be looking at a screen and there's 4 or 5 different sports things that are going on all simultaneously. But here's the thing, that when our attention is split into that many different areas, we're never completely available to any one thing. Just let that sink in for a moment. We're never really available to any one thing. I was just sharing with somebody a couple of days ago about this experience that just stays with me. So I raised a child in a former relationship. I consider her to be my daughter. She's deaf. Her mother passed away a few years ago, and I stood in for her mother at her wedding. So the wedding was at a place in San Diego where it was terraced. The wedding was actually on the ground floor, but we were taking pictures up above. I'd say there was maybe like 120 people or something like that. Perhaps 90% of them were deaf. Their children, though, were hearing, and the noise that you heard around was pretty much the children laughing, running around and playing with each other. But I never will forget this one moment looking at this sea of tables, maybe a dozen tables or so, maybe more than that, 8 to 10 people at a table. And it was quiet. It was so quiet. But it was intense. It was intense. The way that people were talking to each other and they were engaging each other. And you know, when you're doing sign language, you really have to pay attention. You really do. And particularly if you're in a group or a situation where there's multiple people around, your eyes are looking, and the level of engagement was absolutely breathtaking. And I remember thinking to myself, wow, as hearing people, we miss it. You know, as hearing people, we're, looking on our phone and we're texting and we're kind of hearing this thing out here and talking on the side, but we're not really looking at the person in front of us, really being present. In sign language, you are literally acting it out as well, so that your body and your expressions are telling the story, not just the words that you're signing, so that people get the real flavor of what it is that you're talking about. So there's a full-bodied engagement in the communication. And I thought, wow, that's what presence looks like. Real presence. And I'm telling you now that there really is a gift in that. When we allow ourselves to be present, our focus goes up, our irritability goes down, our sense of being connected to other people goes up, our sense of being connected to the divine even goes up. When we're fully present in the moment, we're enjoying more quite often what's going on or what's happening. Being present can be a way to tap into a more transcendent awareness instead of us being burdened down and bogged down with things that we're rehashing that have already taken place, or our fears or worries, concerns about what might be down the pike. Anxiety is really just trying to live the future in the present. So I invite you to just really look around you and see and check yourself in from time to time and say, am I really present? I'll share with you what I do is my personal practice. You might want to pick it up, or you might want to do something else on your own. When I'm making that choice to be consciously present, I'll look around and I'll take an inventory. Sometimes I'll do it eyes open, 10, 15 seconds, and then shut. And tell myself, like, what did I see? Or if I'm walking along, I make it a point to notice something that I hadn't noticed before. If I'm meditating, I know in order to learn how to meditate, I would just time myself, where I started first with just a minute of being still. Okay. Then the next day I added a minute, like 2 minutes. You get it? The next day, 3 minutes. And then lo and behold, within a month, I was able to sit for a half an hour because I had built myself up to it. And I find that little bit of meditation that I do in the morning shifts my whole attitude throughout the entire day. It allows me to be more present. So, share with me what you do to be present, or if there's some questions that you may have about techniques or what you can do to be present. Share this, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and look forward to seeing you next time for Get Your Yes On. My series of video shorts called Get Your Yes On is a reminder that life is in session and drama is optional. We have choices. And when we choose to apply timeless wisdom to today's circumstances, we can all have lives that are happier, healthier, wealthier, and more fulfilling.